Hello and welcome to Flashback, the games you loved, the stories you forgot. And it's me, RGT, for episode 3 of our Flashback show. I hope you've been enjoying these. And I am joined again by the legend himself, the CEO, the owner, the Lord, our Saviour.
I'll
It's
take this money.
George.
I'll take this money. I didn't have the patience for the dole queue this week, or my gyro, whatever it's called. So I iced that. I thought I'll do one more stint on here. One last time. One last rodeo, as they
Yeah,
say.
bit of
But
pocket
I'm
change.
intrigued. Great choice of year. Great window of time.
Mm.
I'm I'm oiled up.
And ready to roll.
Let me give you just a mindset of where 2004 is the year where you'd have pulled into a service station and alongside the extra chewing gum, you'd have seen these little green slices of thin paper that you placed on your tongue for freshness.
Hmm.
Where are they now? Yet in
Exactly.
2004, they were
All
everywhere.
the rage. So as George said, this is November 2004 we're talking about. And doing the research for this, you realise that there was quite a lot of games floating about in November 2004.
As I
We,
said to you off air, RGT, we will be revisiting 2004 365 times.
yeah, there's a lot to talk
It's
about
that
with this.
good.
Yeah,
It's
it
that
is
good.
brilliant. But yeah, so like I say, it's November 2004. We're going to dive into what we would have been playing at that current time. We've got a couple of news articles from the era, what we would have hoped to have played in the month ahead, and a bit of Stingray's boot as well. So all interesting stuff. So let's start with then, George, what we probably would have been playing at the time. So on my list here, I have got the mighty Pro Evolution Soccer 3. We've got a bit of Fight Night 2004, Red Dead Revolver, where it all started. Now
Let's
I'm
have a
right,
little talk about that for a minute,
yeah,
just for
because
2 seconds,
am I right
because
in thinking that Red Dead Revolver wasn't actually it was being made by someone else and
that's right. Was it not
Rockstar took it
Capcom from
on?
memory? Should have researched this. I didn't think
Ah,
you'd
no, I
slap me
think
around
you
the
are
back of the
right.
legs with that. And for some reason, the franchise came up because it was an evolution of one of their older games.
Mm,
Not Gunslinger, or whatever it was, or it's definitely a retread of something they'd done before. Bobby would tell me. Bobby knew the law.
mm,
Um, But either which way, it's obviously very different. The name set the foundations for the franchise that we now know and love. And there is something to like about this kind of like weird arcade shooter from Rockstar that they picked up
mm.
and polished up. You got to imagine that if they really wanted to do a Western that bad, they could have just made their own name. But for some reason, they got hooked up on Red Dead.
Yeah.
Red Dead Revolver came to PS2, I think came to Xbox as well. Um, Bit strange in their lineup for PlayStation 2, I'd guess. Obviously, uh, with the sort of luxury of hindsight, we know that we had Manhunt 1 and 2, we had the GTA trilogy there, we had the PSP ports.
Yeah.
They all look and feel a certain way. Even Midnight Club, as an example's got a little feeling of that
Mm,
Rockstar energy to it.
mm,
This,
definitely.
bar the logo at the front end, doesn't feel very Rockstar-y, but the story of like Red that may or may not be Uncle in the later
Mm.
games. I've I got this at launch, Red Dead originally
Did you
back in the
really?
day. Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, I didn't come across this till later on, till I was sort of collecting, and even then, I remember seeing it second hand in a shop for a few pound, and picked it up, and then that weren't until then that clicked. I was like, oh, this is Rockstar. Oh, hang on, is this linked to Red Dead Redemption? So I didn't, there was always these
All
sort of
right,
fan theories as to how that was connected.
right. Well, I mean, there's nothing official for the link. I think fans have decided that the character you play as in Red Dead Revolver is possibly Uncle in two and three,
Okay, yeah.
or one and two. But I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for the links. I'm sure there's a million YouTube videos where they say this
Yeah.
post is the post that you fitted as Arthur on this day. And
Yeah, I
nah,
can't really remember Red Dead Revolver. I know I've played. I haven't
it's
finished it. I know I played.
collected little areas of of it's not open world,
Yeah,
obviously. It's these little kind of almost arcade like punch levels of like, boof, you're in this area, this is what you've got to do. It it's enjoyable. It
yeah.
is.
Do they sort of mention a time era on there that you could link
I can't
into?
remember.
I
I
can't remember
can't.
whether there's a time era on it
I
or.
think maybe not, and that's how people are able to squeeze it around in the franchise wherever they
Ah,
like. I don't know
okay.
100%. But and if you're thinking, oh yeah, I ought to play this, slow down. Don't get too crazy spending your money on it. I think there's more modern ways of playing it.
Mm,
PS4, I think it's back. There's a sort of backwards compatible version of it on there, or
I think so.
PS5
Is it
within
like them
the.
PS2 classic sort
I
of thing
think
they
so.
done? Yeah.
Pick it up there. Message in if you found some joy in it, and let me know where that joy is. It feels more like a. It always felt to me more like a high score chase, a little bit more of like a nod to the arcade, a little bit
Yeah,
like
it doesn't feel like Rockstar made it, to be honest. It's a bit clunky. It's a bit.
I tell you what, it feels like a cowboy version of the gun. No, not gun, the club.
Ah, yeah.
We
That's a
played that,
good
didn't we?
We did, yeah. We had a bit of fun
Mm,
with the club, didn't we? Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually. That sort of shooters, like you say, high score arcade.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
And
comparison,
that,
definitely.
and when obviously, and therefore, when Red Dead Redemption was announced, the first of the new games, I was a bit hesitant because everyone was hyping it to be this big thing, and I was like, I played the first one,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it obviously when I got it, I think one of the reasons why I bought it was I like a Western, you know.
Mm, mm.
Um, but yeah, original Xbox, it was a tough ask. I played it again on PS2 more recently. Same game. What else we got?
Well, I mean, going back to Pro Evo 3, I mean, this was when Pro Evo was really starting to find its feet then and really sort of taken FIFA on. And a lot of me included were sort of players that had come across from FIFA, had sort of got a bit arcadey. It was a bit samey. And then Pro Evo come in, you suddenly thought, actually, this plays a bit better than FIFA.
As a sports outsider, RGT, I would say that I was aware of ISS Pro because of Terry Blow. He snubbed FIFA early days to be an ISS or
Mm,
winning 11 guy. He was always raving about it.
yeah.
I'm like, well, it's got none of the proper names in it. It's like, who cares? This is a beautiful game. And I'm
Well, they
like, oh,
knew that
right.
because they give you that option to. So me and that was Bull Border. We would from over on UCP. We would sit down, get the new Pro Evo game, and then the first thing you done was to sit down, editor, and then redo Man Red, Man United, then Merseyside Red, Liverpool, rename all the teams so it looked like a proper team, and they knew that. But I also think you think if especially at Pro Evo 3, if they had the licenses at the time, they would have smashed FIFA. But, FIFA clung on to those licenses and
Well, I think
obviously with the FIFA name. But the
well, I think
gameplay was so good in them games.
I mean,
Master League.
I'm not a football game player, but obviously I was subjected to Terry to ISS, and therefore when this hit, I was aware of it being like the cool kids' choice.
Yeah.
But around 2003, 2004, 2005, the script flipped for Pro Evo, where it actually started to become not just that cool man's choice. It kind of broke, as you're saying, it broke the meniscus, and the
Mm.
sort of more mainstream became aware of it. Suddenly, around 2000, like 2003, 2004, you saw a lot of ISS, and this was the year of the bus stop poster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pro Evo was the king of the bus stop poster. There was a few notable ones in 2004 for me, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
Iconic sort of 6 foot high poster that you kind of looked at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Video game advertising was kind of everywhere at that point in time. It was a big era. PS2 was massive. Xbox
Yeah.
was out. It had good guns going on.
And I think Konami realised that FIFA had all the licenses. Obviously, they had the FIFA license. EA had that,
Of
and
course.
so to take them on, you're not going to get it by trying to get licenses. You need to be a better game. You need
Yes.
to play better. So all their time went into rather than getting, you know, Wayne Rooney's signature, get the devs to make this game really good,
Mate,
and it paid off because it played so well. The Master League was brilliant, and when you started being able to bring youth players through and improve them and get them better, and then they'd become superstars. And we'd never seen that before. You just signed up for a team on FIFA and played the
Okay,
game. It's
while Pro Evo were busy making a playable game, someone at EA was probably struggling with a Nokia 3310 to try and scan in Wayne Rooney's face, as some guy
yeah,
could just take that flat image and stick it on this like pixelated Shrek-like head, like, oh yeah, it looks dead like him.
yeah. No, you're right, and it just paid off because after a while, FIFA then realised, look, we need to start matching them here. We need to.
I think the injustice for me, and again, I'm an outsider, came from that FIFA pretty much adopted the Pro Evo playbook.
Mm,
And everyone suddenly went, oh, FIFA looks real because it's got the player's faces scanned in with a Nokia 3310 and it's got the right to put their name in next to the picture of them.
yeah.
Therefore, ergo, FIFA's, and that was really the beginning. That was the nadir of, I mean, we're quite far in the future here, but that was the end really then of Pro Evo. But the light, like I say, I'm on the outside. This would be like you talking about MLB, but I I feel like it's light never shone brighter in this year, and
Mm,
I can't speak for all the play. But I've fiddled with Pro Evo over the years. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong, but
This is sort of the start of the Pro Evo where they really started getting their feet. Then that went to 4 and 5, and they were really
they
people
were
were buying
banging.
that year in year out. And um, even if you play a modern like now, I've got EAFC 26. You play career mode, you can see that sort of DNA from the early Pro Evos with your youth players and how you bring them through. And
Yeah.
that seemed as though
Do you think it a shame that Pro Evo ended up losing, even though it was the better product?
well, that's now that e-football free online game, which is I've only played twice, and to be honest, is it's heartbreaking to see where it's gone and where Konami has taken it because it's pretty
I
awful.
Yeah, I just think they got backed into a corner, and this is the best they could come away with after
Well,
that.
their biggest problem was, and I still say this to this day, and I know I've said it on our sister show UCP. The problem that they done is when the last gen came out, PS4, Xbox One, they released Pro Evo 2014 and they released it on the PS3 and the PS2. They didn't release on PS3 and PS4. So a 2014 football game was going down on the two gens previous. And they lost their footing because everyone who had bought a PS4 and Xbox One went, well, there's only one football game to buy on here, and that's FIFA. Because FIFA 2014 came out on them systems, and people jumped across to FIFA, and that they fell away from Pro
Imagine
Evo.
approaching the cross-console platform of the PS4 to PS5 with that mindset. PS5 would have died. Xbox Series X would have died. You
Why
know,
they thought PS2 was, I don't know where their marketing found that that was the best place to release than a PS4. The current,
well,
I think it is actually, especially in Power Regions, it was the last physical game released for the PlayStation
if you
2.
think worldwide, they were trying to tap into the largest market. Like, yeah, you turned your nose up at PS2 in the UK, but some kid in Brazil was like, yes,
Mm,
awesome, I've got this now for my PS2, unbelievable. And Konami probably sat there going, how many consoles have sold of each? Well, PS2's like millions. Okay, what about this new Pandangle PS4 thing? 500,000? Hmm.
problem is
Well,
a short vision because you lost your foothold on that next console, and everyone who had bought a PS4 just went straight over to FIFA. For their first football game, they went over to FIFA. I did as well. I thought, well, I'm gonna have to go back to FIFA because I need a football game, and I stayed
I
there. Uh,
bolt right in bed one morning. Don's is like, "What's up, RGT?" You turn to her and you just say, "I need a football game."
do you know how bad? Right, this is funny. Right, you are gonna. This is how bad this was. The rivalry between Pro Evo and FIFA. It took me about 3 days to build up the courage to tell my friend I'd bought FIFA again. And I went, I don't hate me. I've bought a football game for the PS4. He's like, oh, what you got, Pro? Is the Pro Evo out? And I went, no, they're not coming onto the PS4. So I've bought FIFA. You up? I've I bought FIFA. Wow, have you? Jeez,
Oh
we've been
wow!
banging a drum for Pro Evo for 10 years, mate. I was like, yeah, I know, but they haven't released on this. Anyway, got him playing a few games on there, and it looked really good on the new console, looked shiny and that. And yeah, next thing is got his Liverpool team on FIFA, and that was the rest is history. But yeah, like I say, Pro Evo 3 was, they were then hitting their peak then, I think. Fight Night 2004, is that one of the really good ones? Am I right in thinking? Or is
I
it?
don't really have any recollection of that, but I
No.
do believe Fight Night 2004 might be the start of the sort of Fight Night champion controls. I don't want to speak for it
Ah.
because don't think I've ever
No, I
played
don't
it.
think I've really played it, and I think I sort of played the Fight Nights on the next gen up, but I can't remember.
For me, I think it was Fight Night Round 2
Hmm.
or something along those lines on 360, launched about the same time as Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, because I think me and OG Tom had a trip into town to buy a game for our beleaguered, I think we'd sort of, this is not for this episode, but we'll save that. We'll save that story. I think we
Um,
might have regurgitated it in the days of the OG show, but yeah, I haven't got really any memory of that. But I
no.
know that obviously, as you say, on the next gen, Fight Night suddenly became quite the sports title. It kind of thrust itself from
Hmm.
the outskirts deep into the center of conversation again.
Yeah.
I just don't think this was that moment. Didn't quite have the similar problem to you, RGT. I just don't think it had enough penetration.
Hmm. um, Driver 3. Now, which one was? I know Parallel Lines was the one that was completely broken when it came out. Was Driver 3 still a really poor title? I can't quite remember. I know they were really trying to take on GTA at the time, weren't they? And I know there was a massive, massive mess up with
Now,
development.
again, this is a game that was over every bus stop. You got to say that sort of yellow art at the start was iconic, you could argue. I remember this being relatively well received at the time, RGT, I have to admit.
Mm,
It was a return to form for the driver name. There was a little bit of sort of hype behind it off the back of GTA, and this was like, oh, driver's coming back. You better just be prepared. But it's a game that I'm looking forward to your thoughts on it. I just didn't touch.
yeah, I played it later because I know it was quite. I know there was a lot of bugs in it, and it was released a bit. There's certain areas that would just break the game you went in because I know they went way, way, way over budget with promises, and they'd even say they were the GTA killer. This was the real game, and blah blah
Yeah,
blah. And like you said about the advertisement, with that yellow, you suddenly reminded me the way they advertised that, especially on bus stops and stuff, with that diagonal driver free in the yellow. For
it's
the
everywhere.
first few times I saw it, I thought they'd made a driver movie. It looked like a movie poster. And it took me a while to realise, oh, it was actually the game. I thought they'd actually made a film. It was very, that sort of early 2000s aesthetic, sort of almost looked like a gangster movie, like Lock, Stock or something, how it was advertised. And
Yeah, definitely. Like I
yeah,
say, the I don't think video game advertisements have ever been as strong as they were in 2004. I mean, think of the mastodon that Halo 2 was.
yeah.
The marketing juggernaut that was attached to that. It was
Mm,
everywhere. It was on every poster. I remember I was kind of living down in Plymouth at the time. You get into the town centre and games were freaking everywhere.
yeah.
It was great. I think we probably didn't even realize how lucky we were at the time. We maybe took it a bit for granted. Like you could
Mm,
walk in game, you could walk in game station. This was that era. You could walk into a supermarket, get the latest game. You could go anywhere. Games were everywhere. You had the
yeah,
rise of the 24-hour supermarket during this era. Like I really believe they were at their zenith as well. So you could sit bolt upright 11:30 at night and go, I'm going to go get a video game. You'd hop in your car, you'd drive to 24, the big Tesco, whatever it was, 24/7. They've got an aisle, massive aisle, probably the top 20 games for your platform there to
yeah,
choose from. And then a selection of like the gems of the moment.
yeah.
There'd be
And there
Vice City
was
down there.
at the time, because obviously your development cycles were a lot less. Companies were releasing games a lot more regularly and multiple games as well. The choice was unbelievable. I mean, even this list we're going down, we've only got a quarter of the way down and we've gone Pro Evo 3, Fight Night 2004, Red Dead Revolver, Driver 3.
I mean, the
It's,
game that we would all be playing right now, San Andreas. Like
yeah,
I was in this moment playing GTA San Andreas
yeah,
and
me
loving
too.
it.
Yeah,
Um, a- and you've got to. It's easy to look back at that game now and go, "Oh, yeah, it looks a bit pony," and you play the remake on the modern console, like, yeah, it's okay. You have no idea. Like I knew in 2004 that San An didn't maybe look the best graphically.
mm,
That I think that I'm being honest when I say that. I remember thinking, it could be better. But then when I relaxed and took it as a whole of its components,
yeah.
where there's this massive map with three cities in
That
it,
map, and technically at the time wasn't actually possible. They'd done clever programming to get that on by literally having the map broke down into sections, and then it would load up those sections rather than the whole thing at once. They were very technical and very clever to
mate,
get a
that
map that big on a PS2 and
that
Xbox.
intermediate section when you first leave no, is it Los Santos? I think it is.
Yeah.
You leave there and you go to like the hillbilly area and you kind of
Oh,
live
it's
in.
just
Right at the now when I play San An, that section goes by quite quickly. But I remember when I first played it, I lived in that little
yeah.
town. I
I
went
did.
and got
I
the little
know.
hillbilly haircut. I
Yeah.
went and got my little hillbilly. Oh, I need a motor, but I need a motocross bike, and I don't need a pickup truck. All of a sudden, everything was I was tuned to K-Rose. Everything was funded around this thing. I'd even in a bid to continue the role playingness of it, I'd been into Morrison's and they had these kind of non-genuine, sort of off-brand, low-priced games on this spinner. You'd normally find like Magic 8 Ball Pool or some sort of like
Oh, I know what you mean.
Pool
Yeah, yeah,
Hustler and
yeah,
Bass Fishing 5000. And then there was like this, it might have been Kabbalah, but I don't know, but like a deer hunting simulator. So I
yeah,
bought that on a shop in Morrison's. So when I went to the woods in San An, I would then pause, save or whatever, take it out, or just go there and turn it off. Load up Kabbalah's thing, and then I would do the hunting in that, and then
yeah.
everything that I was
Wow,
hunting in the game.
you are all in.
And I would sit there dreaming like, oh, if only I had this. I don't know why they haven't. They've got the guns. If only you could put the animals in, and you get this little game reserve. And I was thinking about all the different things it could be, while still enjoying everything that it was. And the game kind of takes you through this journey. Like it starts off as like a gang simulator, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm down. I'm listening to the hip hop. I've got the cars, the suspension. I'm feeling like an absolute player. I'm doing the albeit actually very hard gang warfare element of
Mm,
that game because getting those squares turned green and keeping them green and
yeah,
maintaining them green
yeah.
is possibly one of the toughest mini games within GTA that I personally have ever played.
Especially
Like,
when you're
yeah,
the other side of the map and they say so and so area's getting attacked, and you're like, that is miles away. How am I going to get there? It
and
is.
and it starts off gentle, but then well, I say it starts off gentle. I think the first area gang battle you have is near that bridge in sort of northeast Los Santos, where
Yeah,
those trees are and the railway lines
yeah,
go.
yeah,
You kind of there's a park near there that kind of has an underground like pedestrian subway in it, and you kind of position yourself on a little bit of a crossroads on the bridge. Uh,
yeah.
even that's quite unforgiving, really, and it was a
And
bit
I,
of a baptism of fire.
that was one of the first games where I also found how to not glitch the game, but I found how to get quite powerful quick early on, and where you have your first house. If you go out the back of the house, there's like the what they call it, like the flood area,
Mm, yeah,
water area.
storm drain.
Storm drain, that's it. If you turn right, there's Newsy under a bridge. You turn left, there's a safe jacket under a bridge. So I would just go and get the safe jacket from when I first started a new game, get a safe jacket, get the Uzi, come back save, get the Uzi, come back save, get the Uzi, come back save. So you'd end up with thousands of bullets and armor from the get-go.
Wow.
Yeah, it was little things like that. But yeah, the game is brilliant. I mean, did you ever watch, I believe the documentary was called Game Changers. Did you ever watch that documentary?
No, I don't.
That's Daniel Radcliffe, and it's about Rockstar when they were making Vice City.
Oh no, I have seen that game.
And there's
Yeah.
just that section where they were Vice City was massive, had been released, was massive. And they were making San Andreas, and they went in to these gang areas, and they actually dressed in the same era. And someone held them up and said, "What you do in this area? You're going to get killed." Blah blah blah. And they said, "Oh no, no, calm down. We're the guys who made Vice City." And he was like, "Oh man, that's amazing. Oh, I play that game all the time." And then they went, "Your voice is really good. Do you want to be in San Andreas?" And that was CJ. So the guy that held him up actually ended up being the voice of CJ in the game. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that's incredible. So even that, you've got that connection to what they were basing the game on as well, and that era and area is, true to form. It was
I've seen
brilliant.
that. I've seen that film, and I don't remember it because I remember some bits of it. Like there's a section where he's getting him to make that ping pong, the table
Yeah,
tennis game.
mm,
He's absolutely laying into him, like, no, no, this isn't right, blah blah blah. And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, this feels good. I think it's available. It was available still on BBC iPlayer, but I think you can watch it in its entirety. It's been uploaded to YouTube.
Mm,
I recommend. It's a dramatization. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong,
yeah.
but as an interesting curio, it's fascinating.
You
Some of
see sort of
the
the inside. You see a bit in the
some bits are kind of got their origins in truth, haven't they? It's never
yeah.
been confirmed, but
Take the truth and expand it a bit, but it's definitely an interesting watch.
it
It's
it,
definitely
it really is. And actually, Daniel Radcliffe, he's really good in it. I have to
mm,
admit, that was my takeaway. I remember thinking, "Oh, what's he in it for?" And then when it actually finishes and it's all played out, you're like, actually, he was he was perfect
mm,
for that.
yeah,
Yeah. So San An, you leave the gang simulator, you go into like a hillbilly truck driving farming simulator, not really, but kind of gives you that light touch feeling. And then all of a sudden you're thrust into Fast and the Furious.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
no, kind of, and then like the desert, Fast and the Furious, and then you've got the whole sort of desert fly-in sort of scenario,
yeah,
and then you're into San Fran. No, you're into Vegas for the last sort of pump of the
yeah.
game, aren't you? And it's like, yeah, I'm in Vegas, baby.
That's brilliant. Such a
I
good
think you
game.
can you can bet on horse racing in the game from memory,
Yeah,
can't you? And
you
then
could
you
glitch out as well. So I ended up with millions of dollars by the time I left the country place. You can glitch out. Um,
unbelievable.
Yeah, but like I say, with Driver 3, if you were playing San An, finished it, and then thought, right, let's see what this Driver 3 is about, you're going to be disappointed. It's going to be dead in the water because it was nowhere near what GTA was, and they'd promised to be the GTA killer, and that didn't quite work out for them.
I mean, graphically, you can maybe say, "Oh, yeah, do you know what? Driver Three's got the legs." But then when you expand the depth and breadth
Yeah,
of what San was offering, the
and they did.
haircuts, the weight
Yeah,
changed. Like even I was like, "Yeah, graphically, maybe not the best," but at the same token, I don't care
yeah.
because I've never had this much freedom in
You
a
live in that
game
world. Yeah, you live in that
that
world.
allowed you to live the world.
Driver 3 did look pretty, but it was very glitchy at times, frame rate issues. Part of the maps would disappear because they'd really tried to push. They spent millions making it, and then they just had to push the game out. And once the game's out, then there weren't no updates to get it back on track
Mate,
again.
I
So
thought my time of picking up glitched messes were done. You know, I've got a
yeah,
loft full of garbage, but do you know what? I might try and pick up Driver 3 only because I kind of want that graphic artwork. I want that.
yeah.
Uh, the more we've talked about it, I've been like, oh, yeah, I need that. Um, what else have you been playing in 2000 and November
Well, well,
2004?
we also had Spider-Man 2. We had a bit of
Played the wheels
Burnout
off of
3.
that, by the way. I'm
Did
on
you?
a like
I didn't
Spider,
play it that much. I've got
mate.
it. I should really go back to it because I mean that was. I think they nailed the sort
Don't
of the
go
web.
back to it. I would
No,
re
I've.
if unless you've got it for nostalgia reasons, and it sounds like you haven't, you probably need to get that gone.
Oh, really?
People are screaming at me, "How can you say that, George? It's the best Spider-Man game until the latest Spider-Man games. How can you say that?" I can say that because it is aged terribly.
Oh, really? Is it the
Yeah.
one where you're swinging with your web? So I know they've done that quite well, but weren't it just like your
Imagine
webs are just?
Spider-Man PS4 based on the Tobey Maguire movie, but running on PS2 hardware.
Hmm,
You can get, and let's do it through the lens of the time, actually, because I'm not being fair to it, because it is 2004. This
yeah,
game's incredible. I've got the whole of New York to walk around in, from top to bottom, from pavement detail to the top of the Empire State Building. Now, I played it on original Xbox the first time I played it, but I played it again on PS2 more recently. Say more recently, within the last 5 years. Um, it is good. It's a good, obviously, retelling of the movie in a way, broadens it out and deepens the story a bit more, and the freedom that you have, unrivaled in a superhero game. But yeah, a modern audience may find it a bit of a tough sell, I would say.
Mm,
Because again, I knew when I played it that it wasn't graphically the best game, but I knew what it was doing in terms of giving me the whole of New York to play in a kind of free roaming way. I kind of accepted it, because I think in that era, in your mind, you made a decision to accept just a little bit less graphical fidelity for an open world
mm.
and the freedom and the range. So yeah, okay, Spider-Man looks a bit flat, but what other game can I go? And it was around that time I think I was thinking of going to New York, or I'd just come back from New York, and I think I remember putting Spider-Man 2 in and thinking, yeah, this is good. This is it's obviously not block for block, but when you're down at Battery Park looking across at the Statue of Liberty or whatever it is, and you can kind of half like pick out your landmarks, and you can get to the roof and look across the whole of the cityscape of New York represented in its kind of half pixelated, janky 3D sort of 2004 glory. It's great, and the
Yeah.
missions that reflect the film are good, and the free roaming and exploration elements. But yeah, I think if you were to go to it now, it feels a bit bland. It feels a bit empty. It feels a bit sort of grind from one end to the next to get the next mission,
Mm,
and that classic movie tie-in. But I don't want that to distract us from probably at the time the greatest Spider-Man game of all time.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um,
Heaping a bit of nostalgia, could you argue Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 is the greatest Spider-Man game of all time?
mm.
Maybe. You even had, I think you could even lock moves. So I think one of the moves you unlocked was the sort of, like you have in Spider-Man 4, push into the ground and then sort of spring up
Yeah.
so you could immediately go into your swing. That was in that. So it had a good, the mechanics and the feeling of the swinging is something that in this game that we talk of is the blueprint that they tried to nail for the PS4 one.
Yeah.
Because I
That
think
sort of had that DNA in Insomniac when they made
I'll
the
be
later
honest,
one.
it's the feeling I wanted when I picked the game up. And as
Mm.
soon as I picked up that game on PS4, I was like, boom, they've nailed it. It's the
Yeah.
game I wanted 20 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
10
Um,
years ago.
Also on here, Burnout 3 Takedown. I was never much of a Burnout player. I didn't like it, but not say I didn't like it back in the day. I never really played it. I didn't have licensed cars and that didn't feel. I know people rave about the Burnout games, some
It,
of their favourite driving games. I've tried playing them and I don't know, they
Dude, but
just don't click with me.
2004, are you telling me that even if you didn't play it, you haven't got the slow-mo crashes burned into your core memory somewhere from this era?
Mm, mm.
The logo in the bottom right-hand corner, the sort of slow motion car skipping and hitting the
Yeah,
truck and it rolling over and there being carnage everywhere and you being like, wow, that looks incredible. Don't know why I did it slow-mo. It felt like it fitted the moment.
yeah,
But again, like 2004 delivered as kind of, in my mind, like a gaming zeitgeist like no other. Xbox was doing well, Halo 2, we had San Andreas, PS2 was in like a literal glory position. I could just dump you the games I've been playing
mm,
in preparation. Some of
mm.
these I played or have been sort of circling with, but and forgive me if these came out in November the 30th or whatever, sewers. I don't care. We're doing a good job. And yeah, we are. Um, Lord of the Rings Third Age. Obviously, me and my beautiful wife played that through recently. Too recently for me to play through that again. But what a banger! What a great era! Another of those poster games.
Yeah,
How can we forget that Simpson Hit and Run came out this year? Um, Still looks good, I think. Still holds up pretty well. If you were to do this re-released, I think it would go down.
Yeah,
really well, to be honest with you.
they nailed that sort of Simpsons-esque TV show graphics, didn't they? That was
They did. There's been times that when I've been playing hit and run where if you catch the characters, and I do believe The Simpsons have some sort of inbuilt animation law where you can never see the characters either full on facial
yeah,
or at certain angles. You'll notice in the cartoon you never see any of them animated in these certain positions. You never get
yeah,
a camera angle. Obviously, sadly, Simpsons Hit and Run gives you the ability to see any Simpsons character from any angle, and they don't look great in 3D, some of them.
yeah. I know.
They're barely
I think I
recognizable.
remember. Look, I think it might be Homer. You look if you look face onto him, you just think, is that what Homer looks like? If you look at him face on, it
Yeah,
looks a bit strange.
it's super strange. Bart's as bad. GTA San Am, we just talked about. Mentioned
What
it
a
a bit
game!
earlier. Now because of my um, house move, game stash shenanigans, I've been playing the Prince of Persia Warrior Within on the PS3, the trilogy version. Looks super sharp on there, but my goodness, probably shouldn't maybe have made it that sharp. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah.
What are the
Um,
controls like on that? I've always those Prince of Persia games.
nice. They feel a bit. You've got the fluidity of motion. There's a lot of in two. They brought in a lot of environmental interactions. Like let's say there's a column in the middle of the room. Walk to the column and press X or triangle maybe, and you kind of use that. You kind of swing around it like some sort of male pole dancer, except it's a knife twirling arena, and you
Yeah.
basically just walked into a liquidizer. So you spin around this column, just dancing your swords around. The animations are really good, but they decided to use the character models for the in-game movies, which I'm normally a fan of, but then like zoomed right in on them and like, don't go that close to that model. Jesus Christ, what are you thinking? Maybe in 2004 it looked great. I'm sure it
Yeah.
did, but time has not been kind to the zoomed in visuals of that game. Sly 2, I think we've all talked at length about that, but obviously a great return to form and an evolution on the first game. Graphically, I think because of the aesthetics and the cell shading, Sly 2 will stand the test of time for a hell of a lot longer.
Mm,
Obviously, Sucker Punch there. Sucker Punch, kind of in my mind, a little bit famous for kind of floaty characters. You get it in Sly and you do get it in Infamous.
mm.
Um, Jack 3, the almost open world GTA like Jack, I believe from memory. I haven't
Yeah,
played
I
this for the longest time, so I don't
no, I
have a
played
lot to
one
say
and
about it.
two, which I love both those, and the evolution of two. And I've got three, and I still haven't played it. It's another one I need to play, Jack 3. I don't know whether it's that well thought of compared to the other two, but I don't know. I
I
don't know.
love the first one, all right? For me, that's always what it'll always be. I know people are probably shouting at me, but I just love the simplicity and the kind of
Yeah, that
naivety of
sort of
it. There's
3D
something special about
platformer.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Feels like an N64 game on steroids kind of thing. Whereas,
yeah.
like, I understand why you want a darker, more aggressive Jack. I understand why that might be targetable at a wider audience. It just didn't grip for me. I just
No,
didn't
I
feel
liked
it worked.
Jack 2. I liked the sort of the city they done, and
Yeah,
it was very well made, very pretty. And I did enjoy the game. I mean, Mrs. RGT has played one. She's been on two and been stuck on a level for years. And that is brutal. One of the levels you have to get to this area in a certain time is absolutely brutally hard. Um,
yeah.
and I always found that, I don't know why they made it that tough. But I did enjoy the game, and I remember playing through it back in the day. But I cannot remember playing three. I've got
Mate,
three, but
I've got fricking Daxter on the PSP. I'm a little bit off topic
yeah.
here, but I've never been able to. It's like one of those games I pick up every now and then,
Yeah, I
and
do the same with that.
I'm playing it on PS5 and I'm playing it on PSP original hardware. But what really bugs me with the game is there's like I've really enjoyed it. It's a graphical powerhouse for the PSP, even backwards compatible on the PS5. They've kind of jazzed it up. It looks acceptable.
Yeah.
But there's a section where you have to drive around on this moped, kind of spraying these plants to kill them. But of course, they've given you a rather hideous timeline to hit. Of course, you can't find all of the flowers until like the last 10 seconds when they all get an arrow above them. Of course, you can't remember the order in which you did it the first time, nor the second time, or the
Oh,
third time. every time you normally end up being 1 to 5 to 2 plants away from finishing it, so you know it's within you to do it. But I've spent so long on it now where I'm just like, do you know what, Daxter's dead to me. And these games do have that within them. Like Daxter's a prime example, but as you say, Jack 2 has stumped Mrs. RGT for years. There
Yeah,
was elements of Jack 1 where I was like, honestly,
yeah. The-
please.
And it
But
seems to be at random points because that bit in Jack 2 isn't that far into the game. That's just
no,
this random, brutally hard thing that you just
I
think,
think I just think it's trying to frame up that spirit of that 3D open platformer from the N64. It's like, oh, we ought to. What made the N64 games good? Oh, what about a completely out of character, hard as all nails section right now that's literally going to hard lock the rest of the game? Perfect, put it in.
yeah,
Well, I think it's a good idea, boss, actually, because we were looking at sort of 10 hours completion time. What if we insert this random, almost janky, unplayable, broken garbage in the middle? Oh, looking at maybe 30 to 40 hours.
perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's either
Yeah,
that or another world boss. Yeah. Put the janky driving bit in the middle of it.
that'll do.
Absolutely disgusting. Firefighter FD 18. I've always miscalled this. I've called it Firefighter FDA NY 18. I've called it a myriad of different names. I'll be honest with you, another game that was kind of a poster boy on the wall. I remember this fondly, very fondly. It's by Konami. They had a bloody good run on PS2 in 2004
Yeah.
BTW. So Firefighter FD18 plays a little bit like an arcade game at times, but it's got a great, almost like backdraft story stitched into it. Played it in preparation for this again yesterday, just a soft reminder. First two levels. It's a bit clunky. Like you got to go into select, you got to press select and go into like a spinny radial menu to get your axe out. So
Oof.
that takes a bit of getting used to. Um,
That's a strange control choice. That.
Yeah, especially when some of the other face buttons aren't even looked at. Yeah, it is a good game though. That aside, you don't really switch weapons that often in the game.
Bit of a curio, and that's a bit of a unusual
I'd
one. That.
recommend anyone play it. Yeah, it's not a realistic firefighting simulator, don't get me wrong, but
Mm,
in 2004 on PS2, it's as close as you can get. And because it's Japanese, they've obviously woven a very sort of over the top story into it. So
mm,
the story's kind of told through these kind of newsreels. And the presenter is absolutely nuts. I mean, she's there reporting and she says something like, oh, we're going to find out if there's any casualties. You arrive, this rather sort of butch American firefighter. Never say casualties. Okay, no problems. Just don't say it. Don't say the word casualty.
wow.
There
Paid for
you
some good
go.
voice actors.
It was a quiet week, so I thought I'd pop into the studio for them. Uh, Up next, Silent Hill 4 The Room at by Konami again. Absolutely beautiful looking game, RGT, for the era. I
Yeah, they
mean,
they knew what they were doing at the time, didn't they?
I don't know what the world thinks of Silent Hill 4. I don't know whether it's one of the more sort of favored ones or not, but the concept you start in a room, kind of quite disconcerting at first. You kind of wake up in a blood-covered room, graphically great. That section of it, though, all in first person, which was an interesting choice. When you escape your room, it switches to a more traditional third-person view, um, which I kind of found interesting. Voice acting a bit janky, but you know the slew of some of the grossest things I've seen. For me, you know, Japanese horror is very disconcerting. This is full of that. Two-headed,
Yeah.
long-haired girls that use hands instead of feet. Yeah, that'll stay with you.
It wonders where the minds that produce those creatures is that.
When you first put that game in, it kind of plays through like a loop and of like the more hideous shit in it, I would say. And turned to Rachel and was like, my God. Forgotten about how
Nightmares
sort
for
of
months.
yeah, sort of forgotten about how bloody hideous this is at times. But yeah, so again, I kind of loosely recommend that as a curio. Or certainly, I think that some of its PS2 yank leads into its horror elements a bit more. Obviously, here I'm holding up for the probably never to be released YouTube video the a copy of Subsistence, but it's actually here because I find it the only way I can half stomach Metal Gear Solid 3, if I'm honest with you. It gives you the freedom of the camera back on the bright stick and
Yeah,
makes it more of that 3D game that we maybe more appreciate in the modern era.
yeah,
But I mean, as a package, that's a stack of games that would make any PS2 collection look
yeah.
pretty interesting.
You
The fact
realise
that
how
they all
spoiled we
came out,
were.
yeah, and then the fact that they all came out within a 12-month period, you got to think to yourself, well, any one of those
Yeah,
individual games could be thought of as being an absolute banger.
yeah.
Tell me, RGT, I've hogged this time to go through what I can only honestly say. When you said, "Oh, we're going to go back to 2004," I'll be honest with you, I got wetter than Tom Daly's diving pocket at the thought. And I just, as I say, 2004 is quite fresh in the memory still for some reason. I remember the posters, I remember the art, I remember the video game magazines, I remember the poster childs of 2004's video games.
Hmm.
It was a really great time that, as I say, to say again, that I think we took for granted. Because I don't think we'll have a time like that again, where video games were just under the buzz of the mainstream, but everywhere because of their sales volume. And it's somewhere you could go and get a hit anywhere. Like I've talked about the spinner of Reel in Morrison's, but you could also go top of town Tesco's and buy a brand new copy of GTA San
Yeah,
An. You know,
and I also think you got to remember at the time because there was a lot of games. There was a lot of games from the same genre competing, so we tended to get the best of each genre from your open worlds like GTA and Driver to your FIFAs to your Pro Evos to your racing games from your Gran Turismos to your Burnouts. Each genre had multiple choice. Now, if you're playing a baseball game, you play MLB. If you're playing a football game, you play FIFA. Or
mm,
EAFC. We don't seem to have that battles now for supremacy. But then you did. From anything from your 3D platformers to anything, there was always which one do you have? Which one do you play? And the
yeah.
choice was fantastic. And companies battling for that top spot of their genre. From your horror to anything, it was
And,
brilliant.
and gaming as a whole was still in that more tribal era of you've got one or the other, not both or all three.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're done.
mm,
You're in this or you're not.
yeah, yeah.
Great moment. Great
Brilliant.
moment.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well, that'll lead us then. That was, a few of what we would have been playing, but it also
is there
leads
anything
us
else
in.
you want to pick out of that? Because obviously I got a little bit carried. I'll be honest, I think I probably got a
Well,
little bit overexcited again.
there's only a couple there that I remember playing quite, putting a few hours in. Sims 2. Um, me and my mate shared a place, and he introduced me to The Sims, which is something I thought I'd never play. It wasn't in my
Again, mate,
wheelhouse, but once I got into it,
it was everywhere.
yeah, it was, and I was just like, "What is this game? I'd never heard of this genre, or this seemed really strange." I saw him playing it, watched him play it for a couple of hours, and thought, I need to play a bit of this. This looks intriguing." And getting jobs and
Even
expanding the
I had it.
house,
Even
yeah,
I had it.
and that drew me in. Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Now I know a
Fug.
lot. I know a lot of people that don't like. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the underground games. Now, especially the first one, I loved it because I thought I'd really enjoyed the Pro Skater series, and then taking that and adding a story mode on. And
Yeah.
it's your cliche story. You live in a rough neighborhood. You're a skateboarder. You need to make it big. Your best friend is your biggest rival, and he cheats. Goes against you to Eric Sparrow. Remember old Eric Sparrow? What an absolute weasel he was. And then you go all the
Is
way
that
up
his
to
real name?
Eric Sparrow. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he
You
was your
say he was a
rival.
weasel.
Yeah, he was. It
That's
was
some word soup I can't leave behind.
Eric Sparrow the weasel. Um, yeah, and I just love that. You start off from nothing and go all the way up. So Underground 2, I believe, had I think it was a few of the Jackass guys in, like Bam Margera and that. They
It
come and
was
pick
that,
you up in
mate.
a van, don't they? And
Again, 2004. was Peak Jackass, all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. What were those Welsh boys? Were they around in that era as well?
I think they were a bit. I don't know. Actually, no, you might be right. I can't remember
It
what were they
it
called.
was
They were
all
sort of
around
MTV,
this.
weren't they? And
Yeah, System of a Down.
yeah,
Is
that
that
was
their
all that
name?
sort of. That was
Yeah.
where skateboarding was more sort of grunge punk rock then, when
It was, yeah. I mean,
and
you're talking to the guy who was probably in 2004 had just migrated from his PS1 with a screen playing Tony Hawk's 3 to a fully fledged sort of PS2 all in kind of guy. And
yeah,
it was a great time
it
for
was a great time.
Tony
Yeah,
Hawk's extreme sports, gaming in general, I would argue.
yeah,
I
yeah. But
can't
I
I can't
great.
let it go, RGT. I can't let go out. And I don't think I was if I was in 2004 now at the age I am in the industry, kind of as we are, knowing what we know, doing the things that we do, I think like I would be all over 2004 like a rash.
Hmm,
Unfortunately, it was a time where we weren't in all the lucky positions we are in now, so we kind of
hmm.
took it in between probably episodes of 24, in between a Bombay Bad Boy pot noodle,
Oh
uh,
God, yeah,
in between copies of Max Power and Pink or Brown, you know, it
hmm,
it was a cheeky time.
yeah.
Oh mate, I've just literally been paralyzed by nostalgia.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look back and you think, oh, what was happening in 2004.
It's
But
unbelievable.
let's have a look now at the news. We've scoured the very darkest regions of all the gamer magazines in the interweb to bring you this week's news. First up, this comes from official PlayStation magazine.
Can I have this?
You can if you like, yeah?
I just I've been reading a lot of magazines from this time as well, or trying to get the old magazines out while I've been trying to hide my shame in the loft. I've been picking out the odd one to read. Magazines from this era are just absolutely first class. An official PlayStation magazine was one of the best ones. So in this article entitled Seasickness, it's all aboard the HMS Death for Ubisoft's ocean-going horror game Project Cold Fear. Project Cold Fear has the potential to be the most vomit-inducing game on PS2, not in a sliding around in your own intestines way. Nothing's likely to topple Manhunt on that front, but because the developer is accurately modelling the way a ship lurches around in hurricane conditions, the game is being developed by Darkworks, the French outfit behind Alone in the Dark, and the premise is very much horror on the high seas, with much, but not all, of the gameplay taking place on enormous cargo ships caught in the perfect storm style conditions of the Bering Sea. The sick inducing movement isn't just for the dramatic effect either, it also affects your character's aim. So, what are you shooting? Mer zombies, vampiric squid? We haven't a clue because Ubisoft has an almost pathological aversion to plot spoilers. Certainly, there were no enemies in the version we saw. However, we do know that whatever monstrosities are roaming the ship's corridors have escaped from containers in the hold. Right now, the atmosphere is certainly impressive, all pounding rain and enormous waves crashing over the deck. The obvious touchstone being the classic tanker sequence from MGS2, only with slightly more disemboweled killer whales. We're modernising the genre, says Antoine Villette, the game's openly French creative director. It's a huge ship offering a large variety of rooms, gripping atmosphere and unexpected events. The idea is to fuse survival horror with action using environments that change as you play. We assume this will work alongside similar lines to SOS Final Escape. Shout out to probably Bada Bingster, he's got that. An earthquake based horror game with gangways collapsing and rooms suddenly flooding. The dynamic environment enables the players to think of non linear solutions through a level, says Villette, while whistling a sea shanty. Really official PlayStation magazine. Many interactive elements can be used as weapons, such as swinging hooks, hanging crates, and electric transformers, which brings to mind Saffron Burrows standing on a wetsuit in a knickers while flashing a shark in deep blue sea. Really official PlayStation magazine. You wouldn't be saying that nowadays,
No,
would
this
you?
is an article of the era.
The only worry at present is that Gorgeous, our resident horror meister, reckons it looks slightly too French. Still, he prefers Cannibal Frax to The Godfather. A Project Cold Fear set sail next year, almost certainly under a new name. Don't be surprised by that. We'll be arranging the deck shares till then. I I think Cold Fear, I'm trying to rack my brains, I've actually got a copy of it in my library at the moment. Maybe
Yeah,
not. Maybe I
uh,
have. I'll have a look for it in a little while. But that game was great. I don't think
yeah,
it reviewed that well. I think maybe time has been kind to it.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I had this as a hidden gem, I believe, over on our sister show, and for good reason. If you like your Resident Evil games and you've never heard of Cold Fear, then give it a go because
yeah,
it's got them vibes. It's set on a ship, sort of almost zombie-esque sort of soldiers you're fighting. It's got some great sort of dynamics in it with the ship rocking from side to side.
yeah.
And for a PS2/Xbox game, probably Xbox is the place to play it if you want the really top-notch graphics, but it does look very good for the time.
Oh, mate, and again, this was another bus stop poster girl.
Yeah,
This Cold Fear at front box art, nailed on a bus with the different game manufacturer company logos on it.
mm,
That is
yeah,
one hell of a moment in time. And
yeah,
as you said over on the main show or the other show, the Unofficial Controller podcast, just the main show, you brought this in as a hidden gem. I remember it explicitly. And
yeah.
I think that game has probably aged quite nicely. It's got a good feel to the graphics.
Yeah, I've played it in the last sort of 2, 3 years and didn't really, if you're a modern gamer, I don't think you'll have too much trouble with it. I think it still plays really well, still runs really well. It looks good. So
One thing I noticed in Snake Eater, excuse me, is that this era still had like the penchant for making forcing you to hold like an aim button, but it wasn't going to be one of the shoulder buttons to shoot. So I
mm,
was as I was playing Metal Gear yesterday, I was trying to like do an accurate shot on a crocodile. I was like, how do you get in first person? Like what the? Oh, and now I see that. Oh right, yeah, okay, of course. This is not very intuitive.
yeah, we at the time they'd all tried different controls, whereas
They
now we have sort of
literally did.
we have a bit of an industry standard now, don't we?
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
your R2 is your shoot, your L2 is your sort of aim, and if you've got a sniper rifle, and that's just what industry. But at the time, they're all doing different.
Mate, the PlayStation had a weird, even into the PS3, this kind of weird relationship with L1 and R1.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
no, no, you're going to shoot with these. Why the hell are you making me shoot with the buttons when there's the actual triggers underneath, you donuts?
yeah. I know that was
Why?
weird choices at the times, but yeah, going back to Cold Fear, yeah, I just thought this was a great game, well
I
produced, well made. It's interesting seeing these sort of early snaps of what they were thinking of the game and what it was
totally
going to be
forgot it
about.
was Ubisoft, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally forgot.
I can't see them making a game now. It's probably what, that'd have been nice to see a succession of games of this sort of ilk from them, but they never, you if you didn't know who made
Cold
this, you could think Capcom made this.
100%. And that in my mind, I always had them sort of sectioned off as being involved in it.
Mm,
That's why Ubisoft slapped me on the back of the leg. So I was like, oh, yeah, of course. I forgot.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. What more can be said, mate, to be honest
yeah.
with you? What's this next bit of news?
Next up, we have this is over on Eurogamer. Um, Nintendo moving into online within 3 to 4 years. DS to go online sooner than we think. Miyamoto. Comments attributed to Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto in this week's Famitsu magazine indicate that the company is planning to bring its systems online within 3 to 4 years timescale, with DS leading the way. Miyamoto credited as the design genius behind key Nintendo franchises, including Zelda and Mario, told the magazine that online gaming will reach the mainstream within 3 to 4 years and that Nintendo will be moving in that direction as a result. In the current generation of console hardware, only Nintendo has shied away from providing online gaming services on their system, arguing that online play is not of interest to the majority of consumers as yet. However, a translation of Miyamoto's comments in Famitsu, which has been posted on the internet, reveals that he expects the Nintendo DS to get online get online games in the near future, which would lead Nintendo's movement into the online space. DS online functionality would presumably use the system's wireless LAN capabilities to hook up to the internet. At present, these functions can be used to communicate between DS units for wireless multiplayer or chat. Intriguingly, Miyamoto implied that Nintendo is working with Square Enix on developing the online system for the DS. Square Enix formerly developed the Play Online system for PlayStation 2, which was used as a launcher for Final Fantasy XI, but that
Mm.
had the capability to be used as a more comprehensive online gaming system. Square Enix has confirmed that it is working on titles for the DS with a handheld version of its GameCube multiplayer RPG title Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles expected to launch next year. As yet, the publisher hasn't commented on the possibility of this title having online functionality. Elsewhere in the interview, Miyamoto also commented that a new Mario title, which is being called Mario 128, is still in development for the GameCube, not for the company's next generation revolutionary console, as has been rumoured previously. He also mentioned that Nintendo is working with strong allies to create a new Pokemon title for the Cube, but could not reveal further details on what this title would be. Now, I put this in here because I thought this was quite interesting to see. This is when the companies were then thinking of this online. Online was then starting to be more of a thing with obviously your original Xbox that had the online built in. You could get the internet adapter for your PS2.
Or the Slim at this in this era.
Yeah, the Slim. But also, which actually interested me with this was I never realised that Square Enix done the online for PS2. I never realised that they
No, I don't
that
think I was aware that they
no,
built the infrastructure, or at least the kind of
you wouldn't.
online gateway. But
Yeah,
then again, they kind of had to, didn't they?
yes, yeah. It's sort of well, if you do this, then it's benefiting you as well, sort of thing, isn't it? Really, and
Yeah.
but interesting to see that with Nintendo, and it sort of says in this article how they're not planning on this, whereas the others were. This is still sort of a trend with Nintendo, isn't it? They're always that step sort of behind with certain things. They know what they.
I think it might just take them a while to work out how they're going to monetize it and utilize maybe their own USPs to do so.
Mm, yeah,
I think obviously the others probably saw that they had a space to allow online competitive shooters to take place. Obviously,
mm,
Sony had the burgeoning SOCON series. Microsoft was sort of playing around with sort of online leaderboards and true online play with Xbox Live. Dreamcast had obviously paved the way, but it left these consoles looking a little bit behind the fact that they didn't have the internet uh, baked into them the way the Dreamcast did. So they rushed towards the mid and end life cycle of the original Xbox and the PS2 to cover this off. Um, Sony obviously had one take to probably sell to the installed users the modem, which went in the what's colloquially known on Reddit as the weed stash hole on the original PS2.
yeah. I watch a guy online who's always buying like bulk from Goodwill in America, like 300, 400 consoles. Jacob R, I think his name is. And every time he opens the PS2 up, he always goes, I wonder what's in the slot on the back. I wonder if there's any
You've
weed in the
got to
back.
be wondering
Yeah.
because it would have took some adults DVDs in there that you might be wanting to hide from mumsy per se, or some smaller magazines might be able to fold it up and slapped in there. I mean, the PS2 is literally cooking its innards, but your secrets are safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Your secrets are safe, young teenage RGT. There's nothing to
Yeah,
worry
stick
about.
stick a little blue DVD in there and put it the wrong way, and it's just reflecting the heat straight back up to slightly fry your motherboard. But Mumsy doesn't know.
PS2's bulletproof. You could literally cook your tea in that and then play bloody San Andreas straight after. Um, yeah, the online, obviously they were there. Xbox kind of met as the PS2 was coming to its mid to end of life cycle. Obviously, the Xbox launched with all this fancy dance tech in it, which kind of made PS2 a little bit wobbly. But they met them and beat them off quite easily, I would say. But it was definitely the rabbit was out the hat for online. Nintendo being slightly behind, but as I say, they were staring down the barrel of the gun of not having the more mature games or the
Mm,
more mature installed user base that maybe could populate these online shooters in a way that would
Very
be
true. Yeah,
um,
very true.
suitable.
Mm,
They're probably panicking, wondering how the hell they're going to get Mario Kart working online with players across all of the world. You know,
yeah.
they've got a lot of things to consider,
Mm,
while also at this time probably doubling down on. I mean, was this the moment where they thought, if we go totally safe protectors of children within the online gaming space and dress ourselves up as the Disney and are very kind of cautious and protective with online, limited access for the gamers, limited interactivity outside of the actual main game that you're playing. Is this the time where they hoisted their panties up on that flagpole, RGT? Is
mm.
this where they kind of went, well, we can't compete, so line drawn, this is the side of the fence we'll sit on?
Yeah, I mean, very true. I mean, it looks as though that's that early signs of that. I mean, because by the time we got to the Switch, even then, you still didn't really have proper game chat. Everything was protected and locked down. They went their own way, and some people say, "Oh, they're so behind." Well, they still sold well over 100 million Switches, so it didn't do them any harm. There was no.
Well, yeah, they're behind, but to frame it up in the modern metric, did me and you look at the Switch 2 and go, well, I can't do voice chat COD on there, so it won't be getting bought. Like, did we didn't?
No,
No.
exactly. So,
While Nintendo have been out the game, the business has matured enough where online's not really the main buzz of the game anymore, so they're kind of getting away with it. They've got the online really there for the functionality to be able to get there, extend their very long arms out the screen down into your pocket and literally extract most of your wages in revenue that they need.
they're good at
They're
that.
very good at that. Pricing, interactive features, availability, they're very good at that. Um,
The
but
thing I
it's
will say about Nintendo is, we've seen it before when companies panic. We had Games Pass, Sony panicked. I know we're talking in the future here, but Sony panicked, done their premium to try and match. Nintendo doesn't do that. They never panic. For instance, Generation 7, everyone went, Xbox 360 originally didn't start with HD, but did, HD compatible. PS3 is HD, and they just went, well, we're making a Wii and are still on AV because we know most of the TVs people have got are still tube set CRTs.
most of the ways that people plug into even a
Yeah,
modern set, they're just going to go straight in through the red, white, and yellow on the front. Absolutely,
exactly.
they are.
And ended up being one of the best selling consoles of all times, even though people were saying, oh, they're not HD. Doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't. They're still going to sell. So they'll always do their own thing. And they even done their own thing here,
Hey,
with.
hey, you could, I think you could walk a wheel up. Again, this isn't really a conversation for today, but you could walk that up to the edge of HD
Mm,
with some component cables, but it was still a mess.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they, they, they seem to know what they want to do. And even back then with this online, this is what we're doing. It's going to be DS. It's going to be very slight to begin with. We've got Square Enix working on it. Bang, they tunnel vision. This is what we're doing, and they go with it. And fair play to them because,
Yeah,
apart from a few misses, certain things seem to work when they do it like that. So, right, this next bit of news. Do you want to take this, George, or
yeah, I'll mount it.
our final bit?
And what we got here? Bear with me because I'm not the
Do you want
most
me to read it?
technically.
I can read it if
No,
you
no,
like.
no, 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 no. I want this. Let me put my game
Wow,
specs on.
determined.
This is an article from goodness knows where, GameIndustry.biz, apparently. It's an article by Rob Fahy, contributing editor from November 2004, which is right in our wheelhouse. UK charts Need for Speed Underground 2 takes pole position. EA's street racing sequel Need for Speed Underground 2 has knocked Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the top spot in the UK charts this week, leaving the battle for Christmas #1 wide open. EA's street racing sequel Need for Speed 2 has knocked Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the top spot in the UK charts this week, leaving the battle for. Yeah, I tell you what, why don't you just regurgitate your first paragraph,
Yeah, I
Rob?
don't know why they written that twice.
The editors needing shot, as am I, because I also walk straight into it. San Andreas drops one place to #2 in the charts this week, while EA's FIFA 2005 climbs 3 places to #3, putting it back in the running for the top spot over Christmas. Rival football title Pro Evo Soccer 4 is also upwardly mobile this week, rising 4 places to number 4, thanks mostly to the arrival of the live-enabled Xbox version of the game. Half-Life 2, however, slips rapidly down the chart, dropping to number 9 from last week's number 3, with the impact of direct online sales over the Steam service still to be measured. There's only one new arrival in the top 10, with THQ's The Incredibles climbing
Yeah.
11 places to number 7 following the cinematic launch of the Pixar movie on which it is based. It's quite a poor week for new releases. In fact, EA's GoldenEye Rogue Agent is the top ranked new title uh, according to the latest Gallup polls, coming in at number 11, just ahead of Sony's Killzone at number 12, while Nintendo's Metroid Prime 2 Echoes has a largely disappointing debut at number 33. Ubisoft's Ghost Recon 2 comes in at number 34, while Sony's Jack 3 illustrates the decline of the franchise in sales, if not in quality, slipping into the top 40 at number 37 this week.
Mm.
I was trying to make this slightly more, slightly larger for my rather aged eyes. We can't have gamed in this era and be able to read in the era that we're talking about, so just be gentle with us. This sort of piqued my interest when I was doing a little bit of personal research. Retailer promotions make this into a strong week for Sony's line of quirky peripherals. However, the iPoy Play Toy 2 is at number 22, with Sega Superstars charting for the first time at number 21, 6 weeks after its launch, and SingStar Party making a massive leap of 20 places to this week's number 20. Nowhere to be seen in the chart this week were titles including Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, which may well chart after the Jim Carrey starring movie launches next month, and another film tie-in, The Polar Express. We're here. This is the era, guys. Beyond that, consumers also missed out on the likes of Power Rangers, Dino Thunder, Siberia 2, Scalar, Pac-Man World on the GBA, Driven to Destruction on the PS2, and don't forget this series' strength of popularity, CSI Miami, coming out on PC. And next week, we see the release of Ubisoft's Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Well, I've already been playing it, and
Mm.
I don't think much of it right now. With a headlining, obviously, it did really well at the time,
Yeah.
critically and sales wise. Headlining a release list which includes Call of Duty Finest Hour, Eidos's Crash and Burn, Sid Meier's re-release Pirates, and Tron 2 Killer on Xbox.
Mm.
I mean, if ever a time and date has been sort of framed up
Mm.
RGT, that article nailed it. We're
That's why, yeah, that's why I chucked it in here because from the charts, from games, from even seeing that Jack 3 was struggling, but then you also see peripherals like the iToy. Who remembers the iToy? I mean, I still remember getting the iToy, and that was that almost sort of Wii-esque early Connect where it would obviously I don't if you've never heard of an iToy, it would be a camera on top of your TV for your PS2, which would then show an image of you, and then you'd play the games watching yourself on the TV. But even that seemed to be really popular at the time. But there was games I'd even forgot about, like GoldenEye Rogue Agent and things like that. It's incredible snapshot as to where the charts were, what we were playing,
I
what
just
we
want
were
to go
buying.
back a minute and take a moment just to sort of spin around in the iToy universe for a moment
Yeah, that's what I was
because
then saying about the iToy and
the,
explaining what it was,
there's
and
no, I just, you talking of it there in a little bit of the research I did myself, I kind of started Googling the charts and the games that had made it, and sat there right in the middle, pretty obnoxiously, was iToy. I was like, what the hell?
yeah,
iToy, I remember it coming out and the camera and the people washing the windows and all that sort of stuff. And
yeah,
even in 2004, thinking, it seems a bit odd, but at the same time, being mildly intrigued by the technological prowess of this camera for PlayStation 2. Now, we saw the sort of eventual play out of this on like the Wii, and obviously it's rip-roaring success. But Sony was right here at the start with the kind of motion controls. I would argue iToy is a great product for 2004, but
Well, like, my snapshot memory of iToy was I remember it coming out, and me and I've said this before, me and my mate were housemates at the time, and he said, "Oh, we've got to get this. This is amazing. You can play the games yourself, sort of thing." And we were friends of our neighbour, and we used to sort of just walk around each other's houses through the back gate, so the living room window was out to the garden. And I just remember me trying to wash these windows, waving my arms about in a sort of an up. It almost looked like a cross between a panicked hostage and having a smart, mild seizure upright. And I just remember looking round to the window and seeing my neighbour looking in, thinking, "What the bloody hell is he doing?" And it's me going, trying to wipe these windows. And he comes, "What are you doing?" "Oh, it's his new iToy. You don't need a controller and you just play." It was great fun for the first 4 or 5 times you played it,
yeah.
and then it went in the drawer under the TV unit. Didn't
I
really.
mean, I've seen its functionality washed into like fitness games, I think from
Mm,
memory, and other bits and bobs, and obviously dance games. And I think Sony used the functionality with the Buzz series on PS2, definitely on PS3. But we're here to talk about 2004. Um, they they did a fair bit with it, but I think they took it as far as anyone could decently take it without looking like they're being a bit disingenuous with it.
mm,
I think it was squeezed into as many things as they could squeeze it into and get away with. I think there's some cross functionality with the SingStar series as well, which was huge in this era. I think we forget how many titles that sold, and we've got the show's loyal friend Retro Gamer Boy, aka the man on the inside at Sony during this era, Mike Rouse.
mm.
Um, Good friend of the show. I think we ought to have him back on for a flashback,
That'd
actually.
be good. Yeah, get Mike on for a flashback. Would be amazing.
Leave it with me. I'll message the old boy after this, just gently see if he's up for it. Because I think after the Retro Man, did he ever come back after Retro Man, or was that it done?
I can't remember. I think he'd done one more after then, didn't he? In the submarine.
We did.
That's just you just remembered that, didn't
No, he, and this is the beauty of Mike Rouse. He turned up. He'd invented his own speedboat story, I think, from memory.
you?
One of the other times we'd kidnapped him in his Squid Game style, and I think the other time was literally the Retro Man, which I think might have been the last time. But if it wasn't the last time, shame on him. Uh, but no, we'll see if we can get him back. But this is like he was firmly lodged in the SingStar iToy peripheral universe at the
Yeah.
time. And if you extrapolate from that, I think Sony were because not really long in the world of development cycles before we got the PS3 follow up, the PS3 camera, and the moves. So this maybe now with the vision of hindsight was maybe a little bit of a tech demo experiment sort of prototype of maybe something they thought they could move towards. What other games other than the pack-ins did you use it with? I think there was an anti-grav game, like you could
Yeah.
roll around on a like a hoverboard type scenario.
Yeah, I don't know if I even played that. I think we played the packing games and it as a novelty for a few days to show a few friends, and then that never really got used again. But this is typical Sony. They always that I know we've always said this about Xbox. They always say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Whereas Sony are always trying new things, from the iToy to when you went to next gen with the Move and the controllers and they had pressure sensitive buttons and then dual sense. They're always trying these new things, and this was just sort of the start of them experimenting with peripherals and different bits and pieces. And yeah, it was it was clever for the time, to use that sort of camera in reverse way of showing yourself on the screen, which was
Yeah.
strange. It was quite clever and a novelty, and I expect there was a lot of younger gamers who had hours of fun with these, and the one we had to sort of juggle the beach balls and
Hey,
stuff. And
mate, listen, it's 2004. You're little Johnny, and you get an iToy for Christmas from mum and dad. Are you
uh,
telling me that come midnight, granny, mum, dad, probably you, high on sweets, a little bit tired, your eyes are strained and small and a little bit teary, because you've seen your main Christmas present literally get stomped a mud hole dry, and all the fun that it could ever unlock for you literally stomped dry within the 24-hour period of Christmas. Next morning, Boxing Day. Do you want to have an hour go on this now, Johnny? No, no, I'm done. I might just make myself sick from this selection box and read my Blue Peter annual.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. There was plenty of houses Christmas time 2004
Like
with
Christmas is the time of debauchery and overexertion, but I tell you what, it can also claim a casualty in the Christmas toy as well, can't it? 100 quid's worth of Christmas toy, almost in the bin come Boxing Day, because little Johnny's seen everybody else walk through it like 20 times. Can I have a
yeah.
go? Like, hang on, Johnny, your dad's nearly got the top score in the window washing.
I remember when I got my Spectrum, and every time I went to go play it, my dad was playing bullseye with a light gun. Can I play now, Dad? No,
Oh.
I'm in the final round. Hang on. Right.
My dad took the computer off me a couple of times because he got into stuff. Later on, and well, no, kind of pre this, like I lost my Atari ST to Dad on Railroad Tycoon. I think I've told the story on the show where I've been laid on bed and I'm like, Dad, would it be all right if I went to sleep? The computer was in my bedroom. It's like, Dad, do you mind if I went to go sleep now? And he's like, oh, right, I suppose so. Yeah, hang on a
Oh,
minute. Let me save.
yeah.
Uh,
Fun sponge.
No, he was happy. He was enjoying it. It was kind of nice to witness, but at the same token, I think I was just so tired. But when the family
Role
get hold,
reversal.
and then that's the funny thing. You're a kid. Normally, it's like through a pointed, upturned nose or a sneer that they talk a game in. But that all goes out the window Christmas Day when they're kicking the nuts out your new toy.
Oh, I've got a picture of my dad. My dad, I wish I still had this. I had the bar top Nintendo Snoopy game, the yellow one with
Yeah.
the sort of backlit little game. I've got pictures of him. He had the top score on that for years. And I've got a picture of him on Christmas Day. He bought the thing, and I'm just standing there waiting while he's going playing the game again with, like I say, my Spectrum. And also, I even remember going. I know this is different here in the '90s. I had a Game Boy, and we went to family holiday to Ibiza, and my dad was on Super Mario Land and Tetris, loved them all the time. Now he goes, oh, I don't know why you play them games. I'm like, hang on a minute. You're just a lapsed gamer, my friend. But yeah,
Maybe you should give him one of the old machines out the shed with a game that would tickle him and just set it up in the kitchen for him and leave it with him.
well, my bar top arcade that Mrs. RGT bought me, he plays occasionally plays Pac-Man on there. He likes playing Pac-Man. As long as it's just got the one control stick, he's fine with that. Beer in one hand, control stick in the other, and he's away playing Pac-Man.
Yeah, I think you should pack up a Mega Drive too, send it round there with a little bag of loose games for him.
No,
Think he
I'll tell
might
you what, I'll pack him up: an iToy and a PS2.
perfect.
All right. Well,
That's
that was
actually quite intimidating to an older gamer though. You send him that and you'd be like, I don't know why you sent me this. All these wires.
yeah.
Can't make
What?
the webcams looking at your mum getting undressed in the bedroom. No, no, Dad, it's it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was three stories there. A little snapshot into that month for that
Really
time,
good,
and
mate.
yeah, that was interesting. I tried to vary him up a bit. And there was a bit of online, bit of games charts. Bit of Cold Fear. I couldn't resist that article. Absolutely brilliant. Um, but now we have to go over to the main man himself, Mr. Stingray.
Use.
How are you? What do you think Stingray would have been up to in November
Why don't you get him here so we can
2004?
have a look?
Do you want me to get him here first?
Open the gate.
Okay, it's now time for what we affectionately call Stingray's Boot. What's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battle for Endor is some of the new releases for December 2004. Here comes the Ray. What do you think Ray was up to in November 2004?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. And I think you need to do this going forward. Spring stop. Whoa! Well, here he is. It's the Ray. I tell you what he's been up to. It's 2004. He stepped out of his car. He's not wearing clothes in a
Oh,
bizarre advertisement for his fake extra papers that he's gone with that we mentioned at the top of the show, the little mint strips that you stick
hmm
on your tongue. Debs Babs mentioned down in a little bit of a tete-a-tete at the Bull the other day that he had a little bit of Bovril breath. Well, to counteract that, because it's 2004 and although he's got his son, he hasn't met his wife. Work that one out. He's as a means to combat this halitosis episode. He's literally covered his whole body, but not his mouth, in extra breath freshener papers.
Wow, that is.
And his son's just climbed out of the car seat. Bless, bless little Wayne. He's wearing a pair of dungarees, and he's literally peppered the whole side of the inside of his mouth with the extra breath freshener papers, but none on the outside of his body. What do you think? What have you heard that Ray's been up to this week?
Um, I heard he's really into Jackass now with the release of Jackass number two, the movie in 2004. So he's been down in Farmington. He's been trying to do a few of the little stunts himself. Hence his arms in a cast now because he tried to jump off the tractor and wagon roof and went through Deb's Bab's cafe on wheels. So he's tried to do an elbow stunt on there. Bang, straight through, arm gone. Um, but he's still wearing the Jackass number two t-shirt. I don't even know if the merchandise is out yet, but he has got it.
Mm.
And oddly, he's little Wayne has sort of stepped out of the car and he's dressed as Wee Man. So I don't know. He's almost trying to be like the farm and Johnny Knoxville at the moment. But there you go. That's what he's
Saying as
into.
he said it, I was like, yeah. I was nodding silently. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do Wade as wee man. Do it now. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do
So
it.
Wayne's carrying a skateboard, but has no idea how to use it. Bless him, little Wayne. Um, but yeah, so let's go into what would have been on our wish lists at this current time of games. I mean, we had
I'll go all in because I think I'm going to be grabbing Knights of the Old Republic 2
yes,
on OG Xbox. I'm pumped, humped, and dumped for that.
yeah,
The original was absolutely banging. A
yeah.
reason to own the OG Xbox. This sequel is absolutely the reason to own an Xbox all over again.
What an
Absolutely
exclusive.
everything you could ever imagine. The title with BioWare just producing gem after gem, like little gaming moment after little gaming moment.
Mm,
Again, to phrase it up outside of the time zone that we're in, I've most recently played through, admittedly, the original on Switch and had an immense load of fun with it. And I think that this is both of them now also available on mobile phones for you to play through as and when you please, as you choose. Actually, really great in the mobile phone format. So go grab 2004's greatest game, play it for 1.99 while you wait for the bus.
mm, superb. Um, we've also got Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth. I've never played this.
Listen, if OG Tom was here, he would be all over it like a rash. Now, I think he was more into the sequel, which saw a launch on 360, but this is certainly the beginning of that. And how could we have an episode of the Unofficial Controller podcast or flashback without mentioning Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth Online?
So what sort of, because I've never played it, what sort of genre is it? Is it like
It's a real time strategy.
that is real time strategy, is it?
Yeah, so imagine sort of Command and Conquer, really, but with Middle Earth characters.
Oh wow. They
Yeah.
definitely had some different genres in the Lord of the Ring game setups over time, didn't they? With from
Well,
sort of
I've had a
turn based,
JRPG
yeah.
kind of rip off. We had the action into the screen or in along the screen, two towers, and the Return of the King movie tie-in. Return of the King obviously being the probably standout one because it had the multiplayer in for the first time.
Mm.
And then obviously as the franchise continued, obviously we got a few different things, but to me, this fit the franchise quite well. I'll be honest. Um, and probably does fit the franchise quite well. I know Lord of the Rings is all about more sort of intimate moments, but let's face it, the films make us just want to watch them so we can see orcs and humans kicking the living snot out of each other, to be honest with you, in a medieval fantasy. So why not give people a little bit more of that testosterone fueled Urukai control, I suppose.
Yeah, and you don't also nowadays you don't seem to get a movie franchise that has so many spin-offs of genre of games.
Mm.
You tend to get that one game, and it either does well or it doesn't, and a bit of a generic genre. But like you say, with JRPG to RTS to third-person action, I mean, they covered all bases with these games. I know it went to obviously different developers and bits and pieces, and I know there was also, am I right in thinking there was the book tie-in games and the film tie-in games? Is that correct? Were like Fellowship of the Ring was
I
a
think there's Fellowship of the Ring launched on original Xbox and
PS2, I
PS2 and
think.
PC. That was more of a treading of the first movie and the first book, because if memory serves, I think it had a large section of maybe Tom Bombadil in it, so it really is true to the book, not the movie. But they just did that one and done, and then EA picked up the franchise and knocked out really the rest of the subsequent games.
Mm,
Um, yeah,
mm.
really quite, as you say. Well, what I'm going to end with this is, looks like cash-ins are back on the menu, boys. As I, rather unlike me, I'm going to have a little pick around in the boot, and I'm going to pull out, I think for you, but maybe also for me, to scratch that 2004 curiosity, because there is nothing more premium of an era than a sports game of that era, and we've got Pro Evo
Yeah.
Socko.
Socko.
That sounds like something a policeman would shout. But no, scene's a crime officer. No, this is Pro Evo Soccer 4,
Yeah.
not Pro Evolution Senior Crimes Officer 4. As we talked about at the top of the
We
show,
talked about
RGT,
three, didn't we? And this is when
yeah,
they were,
this
yeah,
is the next evolution of that. And I'll be honest with you, this really is for me when the game hit the mainstream, where it really
mm,
kind of broke that zeitgeist.
yep.
It was the poster child. It was there were obviously lots of football games around, but you weren't really that discerning jazz player gamer unless you were a Pro Evo guy. If you were
Mm,
FIFA, you were derided. You were dum dum.
mm, yeah. And yeah, I remember this is, I didn't buy many games day and date then because of finances, but this Pro Evo I did. As soon as it came out, I was on this Pro Evolution Soccer 4, and just to see this slightly improved graphics and the roster and how that expanded, how was Master League different? What competitions could you play? What youths could you bring through? Yeah, they were then really finding their feet with 4, and then obviously with 5 and 6. They may not have the licenses, they had the players on the front. You were getting your Adrianos and that on the front. These were big world stars at the time.
There were.
So yeah, and I still find it interesting. No disrespect that even back in the day, I kept thinking, God, Konami's making a sports game. And they're doing it really well. You think of Konami
In
for
a
Metal Gear
way,
Solid and
yeah, but
things,
mate,
and
in a way, as I said at the top of the show when I went through the games I've been playing, they had a strong year in
they did.
2004.
They did.
There's no
Yeah.
doubt about the fact that they slapped themselves right up there. Snake Eater, Silent Hill 4, Firefighter FD18, this, and others that we
Yeah.
haven't brought to the table today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at them now.
Mm, yeah.
It was a slow fall, but it's not been a pretty one.
They done that sort of Metal Gear Survivor sort of thing, didn't they? And that sort of,
I think the rather public fallout, and who would have thought this in 2004 with Hideo Kojima, probably kind of it hurt them more than they realised, I think. Now, a
yeah.
studio is a hell of a lot bigger than one game director, don't get me wrong, but that played out in a very vocal way. It
Yeah. It didn't
was
need to be
messy.
seen by us gamers, really, did it? And it,
It didn't. And all right, yeah, you might own the franchises, fair play to you, but they're nothing without the guy that made them, as you've just worked out.
yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You
And
can
he
slap you can
was
slap a name on anything, but if it's not got the essence of the
no,
game in it, then you're done.
exactly. Like every now and then you might get a kind of remake that kind of rediscovers the magic when it's handled by a different developer, but
Mm,
not really. And I think that the painful thing is he was actually a proper paid up salary man for him, to use a
mm,
Japanese term. He was all in on him till death. And he's not at the beginning of his career. So for this fallout to happen at the end of his career, or what you could argue really in terms of anyone's normal employment, towards definitely towards the end of his career. Ouch.
mm.
Um, but fair play to him. strengthen his own name and brand has allowed him to develop his own studio, produce a couple of amazing games and some ideas that are winging their way to Xbox and other platforms, utilizing sort of Hideo's take on sort of different technologies. I'm quite excited to see what he's got next. But
Mm, yeah.
in this era, he was sort of high on the laurels of the James Bond inspired Metal Gear Solid
Mm,
Snake Eater, which,
yeah.
let's face it, even last night when I was playing it, Rachel popped her eyes up and went, "That looks impressive." I was like, "Yeah." In fact,
Mm.
this whole slew of games from Konami in 2004 look graphically super great.
I mean, I've recently went back and played through a few of the Pro Evo games, and they're still really playable. You go back to some of the old FIFAs of this era, and they're a little bit jank, but the Pro
And I don't
Evos,
think
you can
they
still play them and have great fun with them now.
Pro Evo had an angle for realism, but what made it really work is it had a kind of artistic flair to it that was
Mm,
kind of there from the ISS days, which meant it wasn't photorealistic, but it was a bit more like that San Andreas scenario versus maybe Driver 3. Like, yeah, maybe not as like we haven't scanned in the face of Thierry Henry here, but we've drawn him and it's kind of captured him in a more iconic way. It feels more him.
yeah.
The arena feels more him.
Mm,
The football and the camera angle feels more football. It, it it just nailed it. And I think FIFA robbed the elements that we kind of knowingly knew were good and
yeah.
then stitched them into FIFA. And as you say, I never really thought about this, but the faux pas of not bringing one out left people just going, "Oh, right, it's dead." It
That
wasn't
was
dead, but
no, it wasn't. But they just, yeah, they missed a massive trick there. But such a shame. Few other games that were coming out in December. Mario Party 6 was,
wow.
yeah, Mario Party 6 on the GameCube. Um, Over on the Game Boy Advance, we had Metal Slug Advance. I've never played that one on the Advance. I suppose it is just Metal Slug in the handheld version, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
during my tidy up the other day, I stumbled across my Neo Geo Pocket and it had a load of Metal Gear.
Oh, you've got a Neo Geo Pocket.
I
Ooh.
have, yeah, quite the highbrow kind of jazz enthusiast myself.
Mm.
I've obviously got the baseball game in there. I think it's got Turf Masters in the little bag. I've got it like in a little
Oh,
carry
Turf
bag.
Masters, yeah.
I've got what are they famous for? The Rivals fighting game, dude. King of
Oh,
Fighters, maybe.
King of Fighters always the samurai one, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got both of those in there. Again, this is not of that moment, but the Metal Slugs just feel so good.
Mm,
And on GBA as well, like, you can get away with so much on that little screen. But
mm,
getting Metal Slug running and looking and feeling like a Metal Slug is an achievement. And I would say kudos to him because it's banging on there.
yeah, yeah, I bet it is. We had Ridge Racer DS. I forgot that even came out on the
Fetch me a
DS.
sick back.
Please don't say you're steering with a with the little what do you call it? The little
You probably
pointer
are with the stylus. You
stylus.
probably
Yeah,
are.
yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. We also had Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance. Now, another one that would probably be decent on the Game Boy
Yeah, Chain
Advance.
of Memories is really quite well, remembered.
Mm,
I, d- I don't know if I played the original or sort of the remesh versions on the sort of the packs. I never had this on original hardware. I don't have this on original hardware as far as I'm aware, but I do believe it's on one of the re-releases
mm,
packing trilogy jobs. Um, I mean, I love the game. It's blatantly what it is. It is what
mm.
it is. But I
Yeah,
think there's something quite sweet about the nostalgia of the Kingdom Hearts, not only
yeah.
for the movie characters that you kind of go through the worlds of, but just generally the game itself. And
Mm,
obviously, it's a callback for them for the Final Fantasy series as well, a little
yeah.
bit. So yeah, never a bad word to say about that, really.
And finally, I noticed on there, in December 22nd came out NFL Street 2. Now, did you ever play any of the Street sort of versions
I
they done of games?
I'll be honest, I didn't play the streets, but one thing I was going to mention, I do believe the ESPN NFL 2K series sort of popped out here about now on PS2. So I
Mm.
have really great memories of ESPN NFL 2K5, which I played the wheels off in 2004, and its
Me-
brothers and sister as
Yeah,
well,
me and
the
my mate
NHL.
played NBA Street. They were great games,
The
NBA
street
Streets.
games, I don't know why, but they never really kind of grabbed me in the way that the kind of big games did. They always kind of felt like little bite-sized portions, like
Well,
FIFA
if you
Street and all that.
Yeah, but if you play NBA Street with that, you start off in your town and you have that's like, I think it's 3-on-3 or 4-on-4
Yeah.
basketball, and you play in these different areas, rough city streets and on the courts. When you beat a team, you get a lot of booster bars where you can do specials, but when you beat a team, you can select one of their team members to come over to improve your team, and you work your
Hmm.
way through districts, building your team up to take the best team on. It is brilliant. It's really well made, very under thought of that game, but yeah. NBA Street, really, really good game. That's just what made me think of this NFL one because I never played the NFL. And I thought, I wonder if that's a similar
No.
premise.
I bet it is.
Because they're very, very addictive and great fun games. You get that boost gauge up and do the big trick. And we used to play 2-player and work our way through the teams. And yeah, fantastic. I think they're pretty cheap to buy as well. But yeah, so
In the UK especially, they'll be dirt cheap.
yeah, definitely. What are you going to pick as your mummy then, George?
Look out the way, Ray. Slide the passenger seat forward because I'm taking home UK Student House Volume 2. That's what I was watching in 2004.
What are you going to pick as your mummy game though?
Oh,
Before we get to the films.
from this list, I'm taking home, of course, I'm going to take home Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh, well, there's only one game I can really pick as my mummy, and that's Pro Evo 4. It's got to be for me. That was the year I was right into my Pro Evo, so yeah, that would be mine. And what did you say was your film pick for this month? Did you just say?
Don't Google it, but UK Student House Volume 2.
Oh dear, is that a bit blue?
Well, it was from the front passenger seat, RGT. It's got Angel
Oh,
Long on the front cover. What do you want me to say?
I'm just going to move on. I've gone from one extreme to the other because I'm going to pick one of Mrs. RGT's and my daughter's favourite films, Polar Express. That's what I'm
That's a
picking.
safe bet. Two's up.
Yeah,
I tell you what, midweek we'll do a swapsy.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
done. Yeah,
awesome.
so
I've only watched 5 minutes of this time and time again. I'd love to see how the story unfolds.
yeah,
Does the rent get paid or no? I can't seem to get past the first maybe. mm,
2 minutes.
Well, nothing really kicks in. So five.
Oh, fair play.
There's a bit of story
Oh, okay.
synopsis at the
Wow, that's
beginning,
different.
intro titles, bit of story. You've got to answer the door, open the door. What are you doing here? Need the rent? Okay, I'm a student. I got a lot of money. Blah blah blah. Well, that's a bit difficult. Oh, I've got some problems with the house.
Quite
I'm
a generic
gonna,
story then, yeah.
a little bit further on. All of a sudden they're hosting like an Ann Summers party. Yeah. Uh, thank God for chapter selections on DVDs.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to get a little bit more use out of it. You wanted
Maybe
2004,
one
mate.
day
You
you'll
got
see
it.
the end.
Doubtful. I,
Doubtful.
I think that the moment you do see the end credits on one of these movies, you know you probably need to quit.
Yeah, you're done.
Got like a
Um,
dry husk of about like just getting coconut. Like, oh.
well,
You're
on
right,
that
mate.
bombshell, I
No, what are
think.
you hoping to play?
Well, from that, like I say, from that list, it's going to be.
Or just generally, of games of 2004, what do you think you're going to play?
Oh God, just from going through what we had, the selection is unbelievable at that era. From your Spider-Man 2s to your GTA San Andreas is definitely going to be San Andreas. Probably take a little look at Driver 3 to see if I can still scratch that GTA itch, but it's going to be disappointing.
Have you got it
Um,
physical real?
hmm
I need to
yeah,
check if I have. It might be in the box of tap that I'm putting in the loft, so I might need to act
yeah,
quick
I've
if
got
I
it
haven't
over
got it.
there. Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think I'm going to carry on playing a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. I'm going to do a little bit of Silent Hill for the room just because my interest is peaked because of how weird it is. Um, always got Firefighter FD18 in the circulation, but I should be honest with you, I'm mainly probably going to be playing San Andreas. It's a work of genius. It's a work of art. It is. We've been the GTA podcast lately, RGT. I have to admit, my sort of retreads of 4 and my
Mm,
plays of the PSP version. I mean, I don't suppose it does our searchability any harm with the impending mega sword of
no,
GTA
exactly.
6 coming down the pipeline, and it will certainly put us in a good place to talk about it from a sort of historic point of view.
Mm,
So I think
definitely.
we shall continue this. But yeah, that's what I'm going to mainly be getting into. I think I might
Marvelous.
um, just have another research of games from 2004 because the list is endless, and
It is.
we've only got first base with 2004 in this episode. So I wasn't
Yeah.
joking when I said we'd come back 365 other times because this is a great era. It's a great
Mm,
year. Um,
I'm
want
sure
to
we'll
thank
be
everyone
jumping
for.
back on the other months, and
If you don't, I will have your guts for garters. Um,
I've heard that sometimes. Uh,
no worries.
but
They fit
yeah,
quite nice on my thigh as well.
oh, I think well, that's our little look back at November 2004, looking at what was coming out in December 2004. Really enjoyed that. Made me realise how lucky we were as gamers in the era and how good that time was. But thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Don't forget Unofficial Controller podcast as well. Jump over there. Download the shows there. Have a listen to us, our other show there, which is nearly 300 episodes deep. Check us out on YouTube. We now have the flashback listings on there on our Unofficial Controller podcast. So you can have a listen on there. Give us a comment. Give us a sub. And I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks to you, George, again, as always. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for allowing me to. Well, thank you for inviting me on. I suppose I'm loving flashback. I'm loving the nostalgia journeys with you and the listeners. I think we've got a collection of some nostalgic feedback, not only for the Christmas episode, but some generic
Hmm.
console memories that we need to weave in
Yep.
going forward. So thank you to everybody that's been involved. Thank you to everybody that's emailing us for mentions on the main show as well. Don't forget, if you like what you're hearing, you can hop across to the main show and support us from as little as $3 a month. Yes, I said dollars. It's not real money. Don't even worry about it. Um,
Mm.
Lots of different ways to get involved with the show, the Discord, etc., etc. But that's for your discovery journey in the wider things. Just I
Hmm.
wouldn't be the show's CEO if I didn't come in here and mention the smorgasbord of other free stuff that we offer you up, and the hours and hours and hours and hours of content to keep you occupied in your headphones, doing whatever
Exactly.
it is that you're doing, wherever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're doing. Probably not Student House Volume 2. There's probably newer videos in that now, RGT. But
Definitely.
with that, I say sayonara and thank you to you and everybody that's listening.
No problem at all. Just leaves me to say flashback, the games you loved, the stories you forgot. Until next time, I'll see you then, George. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.